Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome to Darkest Dungeon, the Crimson Court. I'm very excited about this. I have a great respect for the base game, but I have not played it since we did the last series on the channel, which predates even the town event patch. So there's quite a few new systems to dig into, and I really don't know anything about the expansion. So if you've never heard of this game, don't worry. We will be going through everything. Everything will be explained. You do not need to have prior knowledge of Darkest Dungeon to enjoy this series, hopefully.
Have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The Hamlet is just ahead.
So that's our ancestor. We can hear him constantly narrating in our head because, let's be honest, we're already crazy. Before we even got here, we were crazy. So this is the majority of the game is played in these dungeons, as you might have gathered from the name. So we'll just be traveling through hallways, searching rooms, encountering enemies. Combat is turn-based. Each round, everybody gets one turn, and the order of your turns is somewhat random. It's based on your speed stat, plus every character makes a little die roll and adds their speed to it. So characters with higher speed will tend to go first, but you can never be 100% sure what the turn order will be from round to round. So speed is going to be an important consideration in party construction, but like most things in Darkest Dungeon, we'll never be 100% sure what's going to happen. You can see that guy's using an attack that has rearranged our party. We'll talk about the importance of people being in the correct order a little bit more in the first proper dungeon. Let's just get through this little intro sequence first. So also as we walk around, we'll encounter interactable objects like this. You know what? Let's, who's going to talk to the ghost? We'll have Reynold talk to the ghost. Hey, Reynold. Surely nothing good can come of a dialogue with a transcendent terror. Yep, so it seems.
Is made manifest.
So heroes have health in Darkest Dungeon, and of course heroes can be killed by losing all their HP. But they have a second resource bar that shows their stress level. You can see Dismas is at 4 stress, because just walking around in the dungeon is stressful, fighting people is stressful, getting shot is stressful. But if your stress accumulates all the way up to 100, you become afflicted. Reynold's gone a little bit mad, and now he will be abusive for the rest of the dungeon. If your stress gets all the way up to 200, bar fills the second time, your hero will have a heart attack, and as you can imagine, there are some long-term consequences to having a heart attack. But actually, our hero's stress levels are going to be a much larger concern than their health.
Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
I'm going to try to let the narrator have his piece because the narrator is one of the best parts of this game. So the attacks, you can see in the upper left of the tooltip for this attack, there are a couple little yellowy circles, and in the upper right there's a couple little red circles. The yellow circles describe which positions in our party the attack can be used from. The red circles describe which positions in the enemy party the attack can target. So Open Vein can target the first 2 slots in the enemy party. You can see this guy is 2 slots wide, so he prevents us from stabbing the Fusilier. We can shoot at this guy with our own gun, but I think we're going to have Dismas and Reynold gang up on this guy and take him down first. So let us have at him. We put a bleed effect on him, which means he'll take 2 damage at the beginning of his turn, every turn for the next 3 turns. Also, he's going to make us bleed, and you can see whenever you see that black semicircle appear around someone's head, that means that they are taking stress damage. They're gaining stress. Alright, this guy has 5 health left. He's going to bleed for 4 damage at the beginning of his next turn. So we could just let it bleed out.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the
but unfortunately, Reynold can't actually target anybody except the front 2 ranks of the enemy party, so he couldn't even hit the other guy. Dismas was smart and brought a gun, although he's not amazing with it. Alright, so because Reynold has become abusive, he's going to periodically yell at our other party members and induce stress on them. Fortunately, it's not likely to have much of an effect because we're just about done with this area. Reynold still cannot reach this dude until that corpse is cleared out of the way. And now that this guy's up front, we're going to find that he actually is not nearly as good at fighting from the front position. So a significant portion of the game is about managing the positions of both your party members and the enemy party members so that you can take best advantage of your moves and they're not able to do their best moves.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Hey, a key. And, other loot. We've completed our quest and we can return to town at any time, but there is a chest here. Maybe we should have a look. Something doesn't look quite right with this. Can we use our key on it? We can indeed. And you notice it was marked as a trapped chest, so if we had indeed just tried to force it open without the key, Dismas would have been poisoned by the trap. So hey, we found some cool loot. Anyway, let's get back to town. We'll talk about all of the mechanics a little bit more in depth in the first real dungeon. So we get 5,000 gold just for making it home. We get to sell off the spare gear that we had left at the end of the dungeon. We found some food and some medicinal herbs, so we got to sell those. And we got some heirlooms. Heirlooms are used to upgrade the buildings in town. Everybody gets experience points. We've all leveled up. Just like, pretty standard RPG stuff. But everybody also accumulates permanent quirks, long-term effects. So Reynold, possibly on account of his encounter with that ghost, has become afraid of eldritch things, will take bonus stress when fighting eldritch things, and is less accurate against them. Dismas has gained the ability to fight beasts more effectively. I don't know, it's not related to what happened, it's just something they were walking through the forest, and he was like, you know what, I really hate wild dogs. I hate them so much.
Such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
Lucky me. So this is the Hamlet. As you can tell, the place has seen better days. Watch those intro cinematics. Some things went down here. So we're going to start by visiting the stagecoach. Now that we've cleared the old road.
Soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses, all will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
Yep, now that we've cleared the old road, new heroes can come in. You know how characters are in RPG settings. Everybody's just looking for adventure. I think some of them are going to be disappointed that they've come. And that is somebody's car alarm going off. Fantastic. Listen, I don't have a professional recording studio. I'm recording in my living room. Sometimes things are going to happen. So we had some heirlooms built up already, plus the additional 2 busts that we found in the dungeon. The first thing we're going to do is upgrade the stagecoach network so that we get more heroes showing up.
Word is traveling. Ambition is stirring in distant cities. We can use this.
Right now, you're hearing the narrator be pretty positive. Don't get used to that. Alright, there's not a lot else we can do in town for the moment. We'll talk about all the town buildings in a little bit more depth once they're relevant.
Madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
Alright, so we're going to be sending our heroes out to try to reclaim these areas, take control of things a little bit. Let's throw everybody into the party here. We'll assemble parties out of the heroes that we have available to us. Right now we don't have a lot of options. Let's take a quick look at our heroes before we go into town. So we have Reynold, the Crusader. Every hero class has 7 abilities, but you can only have 4 unlocked, or you can only take 4 with you at any time. We can unlock the rest of these and swap them on the fly, but in combat you'll only have access to 4. So Reynold can hit the front 2 ranks of the enemy party, does bonus damage versus unholy, which basically describes the undead. He has this attack that hits both of the front 2 ranks. He has a stun, and he has an attack. He has an ability here which will increase our torchlight and give himself bonus protection while making enemies more likely to hit him. We'll talk about torchlight in the dungeon. Dismas rather, has this open vein dagger thing that we saw where he makes people bleed, and he brought his gun. He can shoot one enemy who is not the frontmost enemy, and he can also do a grape shot blast, which does less damage but hits the front 3 ranks of the enemy party. And he can do this attack, which does very little damage but gives him a significant accuracy and crit buff. This is fine. We'll probably not use it a huge amount. Fairfax, our Vestal, is a healer, so she can heal one of our party members for 3 to 5 damage. She can bash people with a mace. She can use this Judgment ability to attack enemies and heal herself at the same time. And she has a debuff that will lower accuracy and damage on enemies. It does considerably less damage, but it does a little bit of bonus damage against the undead. And finally, a Plague Doctor. Plague Doctors are actually really cool. Plague Doctor is one of my favorite classes. The Plague Doctors blight people, which functions very similarly to a bleed, except it's not a bleed, so it works on skeletons, basically. Plague Grenades, Blinding Gas, which allows the Plague Doctor to stun the back 2 enemies, and this Disorienting Blast attack that doesn't do any damage, but shuffles the enemy party and allows us to clear out corpses quickly, should we need to. Alright, we only have 1 choice of missions, so if we explore 90% of rooms, we'll come home victorious, get some gold and some crests, and a Blight Stone. Oh, that's true, we do have a trinket, don't we? This trinket is class-specific, and we don't have the Hellion class yet. But this just gives plus 10% max HP and minus 1 speed. Why don't we toughen you up a little bit? Now, unfortunately, Reynold is going to be abusive for the entire dungeon. We don't quite have the ability to deal with his stress just yet.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
Wayne's not wrong. If we fail to prepare now, we're going to pay for it later. So we have to buy provisions before we go out on any adventure. I'm just going to bring... This is maybe even over-preparing. I'm going to bring some torches and some food. Shovel key... It's been a little while since I've done this. Don't worry, we're going to talk about what all this stuff is. Oh, that's right. We get a free anti-venom whenever you go out on a mission with a Plague Doctor. The Plague Doctor brings you a free anti-venom. And a free holy water, which I think is brought by the Crusader. So the character classes that you bring in your party can contribute some gear. I think this will be good enough. Let's head out. Let's fight some horrific monsters. So we have to... Our primary goal here is to clear the darkest dungeon. There are terrifying enemies there, and so we need to level our heroes up. So a lot of these sort of intermediary missions are just about getting ourselves strong enough to eventually face the horrors within. Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay. An old unspent torch. I'll take that. So up at the top of the screen here, we have our light meter. As we travel, the torch slowly burns down, you see. And there are different levels of light, each indicated by a quarter of this bar. So right now we're in dim light. We take more stress, but we have bonus dodge, we have a better chance to scout, and a better chance to surprise monsters. If we use our torch, we'll jump up to radiant light. A much better chance to dodge, and much better chances to scout and surprise monsters. No additional stress. So it would seem like you just want to have your light up all the time. But, in fact, there are trade-offs to be made. If your light level's really low, the enemies are harder, you take more stress, but you also receive more treasure. For now, we're just going to keep the light high, keep spirits high. Uh-oh, we got surprised by the monsters, which unfortunately means that we were not able to have our party arranged the way we would like relative to them. The Plague Doctor, with her current set of skills, is not very useful from the front ranks. You see this ability, only Disorienting Blast is usable from the front ranks. She does have different skills that make her better at fighting in different positions. And one of the things that makes the game interesting is trying to put together party compositions that work, especially if your party does get shuffled or... Wow, Reynold. Harsh. A harsh start. Alright, so I think we probably will start in with the judgment here. I believe that Reynold will be able to crush this guy in a single hit, so everybody else can focus on the second one. Yeah, he's stressing everybody out with his abusiveness. Don't worry, we'll get it dealt with.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
Okay, easy enough. 2 skeletons is not much of a fight. But you can see the stress really can pile up quickly.
This is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright, somebody's got to open this thing. First of all, let's fix our party order. Alright, somebody's got to interact with this chest. Hey Reynold, you do it. Okay, it's unlocked. Ooh, a disease charm. Almost every trinket in the game, almost every accessory, you know, whatever, trinket in the game, is going to have a positive effect and a negative effect. Honestly, I don't think 20% disease resist is worth lowering our dodge chance, so we're probably not going to equip that. That's probably just going to get sold.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
So when you encounter interactable stuff in the environment, you have a choice of just using it or applying an item to it. We brought a shovel for exactly this reason. Digging through rubble like that, corpse-filled rubble, with your bare hands is a deeply unpleasant experience. Reynold's going to keep yelling at everybody. Alright. I hate cultist acolytes. These are the worst guys. So I think... yeah, I'm gonna prioritize this one. So, 4 damage per turn at the beginning of each of her turns, and also we're gonna shoot her with a gun. Alright, that's not so bad. I'm not too worried about that. So we don't have to attack her anymore. At the beginning of her next turn, she'll take 4 damage. She has less than 4 health. She's already dead. Honestly, I don't think it's worth trying to rearrange our party. We have pretty okay attacks for this arrangement. We'll get the Vestal back in her normal position after we clear these guys out. And again, I think Reynold can probably handle this dude. Oof. So, whenever you take a crit, there's going to be a considerable amount of stress dealt out by it. And in general, it's important to limit the number of attacks that the enemy team gets, not because of concerns about health, but because every time they attack, you can end up getting critted. And honestly, your heroes going mad is a much greater risk than death.
Unforgiving.
Actually, she probably wants to go back to here. Because her heal isn't usable from the front 2 ranks. And neither is Judgment. Alright. Reynold's a little bit injured. We can use food to heal him. We do not have access to our hero's abilities outside of combat, so we can't use the Vestal's healing ability. Let's give him a little bit of food.
Sedated.
Alright, now we have to make a choice. We have to explore 90% of the rooms. And the game rounds up, as far as I'm aware, on the number of rooms that you don't have to explore. So, we have to get all but 1. Which room are we going to plan to leave out? I guess let's go this way. That's not based on anything, completely arbitrary. We have no information, so... ah, yes, the torchlight is fading. I've allowed it to fall down to 48. So you can see here, plus loot. We're going to keep the torchlight level nice and high. Oh, man. So that little symbol that appeared above Reynold's head... yeah. The little symbol above Reynold's head meant that something is happening because of one of his traits. Reynold is a kleptomaniac. He sometimes steals our loot. He also is a warrior of light. He prefers the torchlight being nice and high. Reynold's a mess, dude. He's an abusive kleptomaniac, and honestly, kind of a dick. That's not really a psychological condition. He's just like he's a mean guy. Don't worry, we'll sort him out. We'll set him straight. For now, again, I really hate these guys. And the reason I hate cultist acolytes is that they have some powerful stress attacks. Okay, so we've dealt with her. She will die to her blight before she even gets a turn. The Faithless have no right to harm anyone. Slowly. And Dismas apparently is bothered by that.
This is how a life is taken.
I would have thought that Dismas probably wouldn't care whether Reynold thinks he's faithless, but I guess he holds Reynold's opinion in high esteem. Let's just finish this guy off. So as you can tell, the Plague Doctor's whole thing mostly is the damage over time effects. The initial hit of her abilities often won't even deal any damage.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
And what you saw there, the white semicircle,
Push on to the task's end.
is stress relief. When a hero gets a killing blow on an enemy, they get a little bit of stress relief. When they get a critical hit, they'll get more stress relief, and often there will be some stress relief for the whole party as well. Alright, a locked chest. Let's just... You can try to pick the lock and still get some treasure, but you get better loot if you use a key. Alright, we're doing pretty well on the loot. Ooh, hey, we got some scouting done. Alright. When you scout, you'll get some information about the path ahead. And that was pretty good. We found we located a trap before stumbling into it. So everybody in the party has a different amount of trap disarm chance. Dismas, as the stereotypical rogue, is best suited to this, and disarming a trap is worth a little bit of stress relief. Apparently at this point nobody's stressed out by Reynold's abuse, we're all just used to it. So one of the main benefits of keeping the light level up is that you get a better chance to scout. Scouting is really useful. Let's see what's in here. Okay, wow, that's actually a lot of food. Now every piece of equipment that we don't use, we will get to sell back. Ah, yes. And it's important to carry food with you because sometimes your party gets hungry. When they get hungry, if you can eat, you get a little bit of health back. If you cannot eat, everybody will take damage and gain a significant amount of stress. You do not want to starve. It's really important to have food.
Sedated. The light, the promise of safety.
Okay, so this is an obstacle. It's a good thing we found a second shovel. And there's some kind of treasure in the final room. Scouting really is tremendously important. If you scout an enemy encounter, the party cannot be surprised, and there are some other cool things you can find through scouting. Okay, we got the drop on them. The enemy party being surprised means they don't get to act at all during the first round of combat. So, I think I want to target this Bone Courtier first. The Bone Courtier has a stress attack that is very annoying. Like I said, I'm far more worried about our party's stress levels than I am about their health levels in general. This guy will blight out before his first turn, so things are going well already. Oh, nice. She did not crit the attack portion, but she did crit the heal portion, and that is good enough for some stress relief. This guy has 2 health that we have to knock off of him if we want him to die before his turn. Oh well. We might not get there.
Executed with impunity.
Oh, sorry. It's not that they don't get to act on the first round, it's that they act at the end of the first round. Which is almost as good. These shield and axe guys hit fairly hard, but I'm really not that worried about them killing anybody. So this guy's going to blight out. We can now ignore him and get straight to work. So this enemy has protection. You can see down there in his little description area, prot 25%. That means he just takes 25% less damage from everything, except for damage over time effects. So blight and bleed are a good way around high protection. Alright, we're going to stab this dude, even though we can't make him bleed. We lack the will of the light. Yeah, Dismas has really taken a beating here. Not so much in the combat, but in the commentary. Alright, we're going to stick around. We have another chest with another key. Wow, that's a pretty good haul. And as you can see, our inventory is already filling up. So there's a room battle over there. We could head back and loot everything in the dungeon, but we're already out of torches. By the time we got to that room, our torchlight would be pretty low. You know what? Let's not push it. Let's just go home. That was good enough. Successful enough. So like I said, we get to sell back all of our unused provisions. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's not nothing. We take home a fair amount of treasure. And now it is finally time to start dealing with our hero stress. So every time you go back to town, everybody's health refills, and any debuffs or anything that they had on them fall off. But stress and afflictions based on stress will remain until you deal with them. Reynold has become balanced. That's useful, especially for a guy like Reynold who is not good at fighting from certain positions. And you have plus crit when low on health, and plus stress versus unholy. That's an unfortunate... I do not like the plus stress quirks. Stress is dangerous.
And the pistol. A fitting end to my folly. And a curse upon us all.
Alright, so we've unlocked the first two buildings in the Hamlet. First two important ones. This is just a place where we can go and watch the old cinematics.
Extent of my failings.
And this is a place where we can go and...
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Yeah, this is a place where we can go and view a listing of all of our tremendous failures. People will die. It's very unlikely that we're going to get through this game without losing any characters. Now, the tavern and the abbey are for stress relief.
The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The abbey calls to the faithful.
So there are 6 stress relief activities, basically. There's 3 here in the abbey, and 3 here in the tavern.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
Also, the Ancestor is going to just have a huge amount of things to say all the time, forever. So unfortunately, Reynold has a trait that only allows him to pray to relieve stress. And every week, the caretaker is going to be engaged in one of the stress relief activities, because taking care of this place while our family was away has had some serious long-term effects on him. Let's see if we can use our heirlooms to upgrade the transepts enough to open up a second slot. We cannot.
Rituals. For some, a tonic against the bloodshed.
This level of upgrade allows you to have a second slot, so we actually can't commit Reynold to stress relief. He just won't do it. Okay, well, Reynold is going to have to just stomp around town throwing a temper tantrum, because he is not coming out on another trip with us until he stops being such an ass to everybody. Let's get some new guys in here. Alright, Houndmasters. I like Houndmasters a lot.
And his faithful beast. A bond forged by battle and bloodshed.
Alright, so currently we have 12 slots on our roster. We can have up to 12 heroes. We'll want to upgrade the stagecoach. Keep upgrading the stagecoach whenever we can, because we want heroes to... We want to have access to a greater number of heroes. We'll fill our roster up quickly, but we want to exercise a little bit of... we want to be more discerning. We don't want to just take everybody all the time. Right now, we kind of got to take everybody all the time. We just need numbers. Okay, so who's going out on the next trip? Let's have a look at the new guys. So the Houndmaster has a dog with him. And he is a little bit more versatile. You can see each different person will come in with different skills unlocked. Unfortunately, none of them have the thing I was really hoping for, which is Blackjack, which is a powerful stun available from the front of the party. So we could have one of these guys take over the front slot, leave Reynold in town. A party of like Houndmaster, Highwayman, and Vestal might be okay. But we don't, unfortunately, we just don't have enough crew to leave home everybody who's stressed out. But I think we can probably let Dismas stay home. Dismas is not allowed to gamble for stress relief. That's fine. We'll just have him meditate. Alright. So when we come back to town in a week after the next little adventure, Dismas will have relieved most of his stress. Also, who are we going to take with us? I'm going to take the Vestal, probably. So we'll leave you here. You can get nice and drunk. That'll solve all your problems, right? Alright, let's head back out. We'll do one more real quick. So you have Target Whistle and Lick Wounds. You have Cry Havoc and Guard Dog. Yeah, I think you're a better frontliner. Here, we'll do like this. The Vestal can afford to just stay in the back. We won't be able to use Mace Bash, but Judgment is a pretty good attack. Yeah, even though she'll only be able to use Judgment and Divine Grace from this position, that's good enough. Okay, so we have a choice now of missions. 2 of them are short, and 2 of them are medium length. That means that we will take some camping supplies, and we will camp once during the run. Protective Padlock is a pretty good item. What's the reward for this? A debuff amulet. I don't particularly like the debuff amulet. I don't think that increasing your chance to land debuffs is all that valuable, especially not in exchange for 4 points of dodge. Well, I have to say I do not love any of the loot that is available to us. Let's do a longer mission just for the increased rewards. So explore 90% of rooms, but in a larger dungeon. Right, and you can see each of the Houndmasters has brought a couple of dog treats for his dog. We are going to buy more supplies than we bought last time. Yeah, you know what? Let's take all the food. A couple of torches, or a couple of shovels, a couple of keys. We might find other curios. I'm trying to remember what things you can discover in the ruins. So obviously we can come across locked chests. There are also a couple of other locked things we could find. These skeleton keys are awfully useful. It's important to have shovels to clear blockages when you encounter them. This will be good enough. You don't want to overspend on provisions. You only get back a fraction of the cost when you sell them back at the end of the mission, and the more stuff you're carrying, the more stuff you're likely to have to throw away as you try to make room for treasure. This will probably be fine for now. Ah, that's true. Holy water can be useful. You don't encounter the idols and shrines so much in this area.
Your lineage once familiar, now foreign.
Alright, so you can see this map is significantly longer, has a little bit more branching. And some of the hallways are a little bit longer. Usually hallways are 4 spaces long, and it's important to take note of how many spaces a thing is, because you lose torch for each space that you walk through.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
A trap that we did not see, fortunately. We were able to evade it anyway. Now, when we use our firewood, We will go back to full torchlight afterward. So it's important to be a little bit strategic with the way we use our torches. We don't have enough torches to just light one at the end of every hallway, you know? Who wants to read? Who's a big reader? Okay, first of all, hold on. Let's swap the color palette on one of these Houndmasters so that they don't look exactly the same. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, he read a book about maintaining your balance, and now he's hard to move around. Seems a little strange. He has +4 speed on the first round, and he's more likely to start bleeding. We should actually look at all of our traits here. Hold on, I was trying to click on the new guy. +5 dodge, +10% damage with melee skills. Unfortunately, he does not, the dog is not considered to be melee. His only melee skill is hitting people with his cudgel. So I'm going to try to keep the light high when we are entering new rooms, because it gives you bonus scouting chance, and like I said, scouting is basically the best thing. I probably want to torch up before this fight. An urn holds ashes of the departed. Ah, this would have been a good thing to bring holy water for. I remember this. Why don't you dig around in there? Hey, it turns out somebody left all these valuable gems as an offering for the departed. Sorry, mine now. Listen, they don't need it. Alright, well, we got the drop on these maggots. As you might imagine, these are not the most dangerous enemies in the world.
Back to the pit.
Okay, some very small enemies don't leave behind corpses. Oh, Cavalier has a different skill set. Okay. To be perfectly honest, I kind of forgot this wasn't Dismas. We're going to reconfigure our party a little bit.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
So this guy has an ability called Point Blank Shot that does bonus damage, but can only be used from the front row against the front row of the enemy party. And when he uses it, it moves him back. So we're going to keep him in front so that he can take maximum advantage of that. At this point, I'm going to stop lighting torches. I'm going to intentionally let the light burn down a little bit. Uh-oh. Well, I did not get a choice of not interacting with that. He takes a moment to reflect, and his history of sin is too much to bear. So he is he experiences religious visions and delusions. A lot of these negative traits force your characters to interact with things sometimes without allowing you to use an item to affect the outcome. Sometimes those can be, the outcome of that can be like completely devastating. So we found a torch, free torch, that's good. Like I said, I'm intentionally letting the light burn down because I'm going to camp in this room, I think. This is a little earlier than we need to, but I wanted to show off the camping mechanics. We could push on in the dark. You know what? I'm feeling gutsy. We're in good health. If we get in a fight in the dark...
Indeed stalk these shadows, but yonder, a glint of gold.
So the monsters are more accurate, and they do more damage. And we take a lot more stress, and there was a pretty high chance of us getting surprised. We got lucky and it didn't happen. But we're good at dodging in the dark, and we should get much, much better loot here. So as always, these guys are the primary concern. And I kind of wish that my highwayman wasn't in the front, because his first attack is going to have to be against an enemy that's a little bit less important. You can see those stress attacks are really powerful in the dark. I would really love to get rid of these guys so we don't have to worry about them next turn.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
Alright, so as you can see, Point Blank Shot is a pretty good ability. It's fairly powerful. Very low damage, very high stress on that attack. Do we want to try and bring this guy down before he can get an attack off? No, let's just focus on the bone courtier. It would be really great if we didn't have to endure another attack from him.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Okay, well, unfortunately, Hound's Harry does very poor damage. It hits every member of the enemy party, but that's not really relevant here. And it bleeds, which is not really relevant here, because this guy doesn't have any blood anyway. So I'm just going to use Guard Dog. Now, if the skeleton attempts to attack our highwaymen, the Houndmaster will jump in front of the attack. That's what this means. Man, this dude he does not have a lot of good moves from the front against a single skeleton.
Give them no quarter.
It's kind of an awkward party composition, to be perfectly honest. But that's part of what makes the game interesting.
Push on to the task's end.
The interaction of the stress mechanics and the battle mechanics and stuff means sometimes you're going to have to make some decisions that are not optimal. And making the best of a bad situation is sort of what this game is all about. Alright, lucky surprise for us. I could have moved him back to the front to take advantage of point-blank shot, but I'm kind of glad I didn't here, because we really do want to focus on these cultist types first, I think. So it'd be really cool if this one didn't get a turn, because I do not want to have to deal with the stress attack.
The ground quakes.
Okay, he landed a critical attack with a bleed, which means that the bleed gains 2 extra rounds of duration. Alright, so where's she at? She's got 3 health left. That's unfortunate. Because it means I do have to attack her again.
Destroy them all.
I was really hoping to be able to devote some of our violence toward other members of the enemy party. Now, at this point, we do have to worry about health a little bit. Should I Guard Dog? Hound's Harry is unlikely to do a ton of meaningful damage. Again, most of the enemy party cannot bleed. So let's use Guard Dog. In addition to the guarding ally effect, it also gives the Houndmaster extra dodge, and he can jump in front of an attack to protect the highwaymen, and then also dodge the attack so it has no effect. So I think we'll plan on that. But let's just try to bring some dudes down. So this cultist brawler, we can use judgment against, yeah, everyone in the enemy party. Let's bring down this cultist brawler. These guys have an unusually high crit chance, has been my experience with them in the past. And we really do not need to suffer any crits here. I think I would rather try to finish this guy off than go for the heal. Killing an enemy is like preemptive healing. You know, if you prevent an enemy attack that would have done more damage than your heal, then you were better off killing them than healing, right? I love it when they attack the Vestal.
And despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Oof. Okay, that attack has a stun chance. The blue resist that you saw was him resisting the move. The attack pushes people back. And then the yellow resist was him resisting the stun. Right, I do think this guy is more dangerous than the Bone Defender. The Bone Defender is somewhat limited in who he can target with his abilities. While this guy can shoot anybody he wants. Alright, at this juncture, I think it's probably a good idea to heal. Ooh, a crit heal. Nice. Crit heals relieve a little bit of stress from the person you hit.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Come on, dodge it. Yes. Alright. You'll notice, as we play, that I'm a lot less concerned with keeping our heroes' health high than I am with bringing enemies down. And the reason for that is that, first of all, it's pretty easy to relieve stress, or to relieve health damage outside of combat. Especially since we're about to camp.
Can be healed.
And secondly, it is often the case that enemies will hit for about as much as you heal for, so preventing one attack from happening by killing the enemy earlier is often just as good as healing, but every time the enemy hits you, there's a chance for a crit, which is a chance for a large amount of stress, which is a chance for a cascading sanity situation. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, you know? So let's unlock this chest. And now I think it's time for us to take a little break.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
So we have our meal phase and our skill phase here in the camp. During the meal phase, you can eat some food to restore some HP and relieve some stress. We still have a ton of food, probably way more than we're going to need, so let's go ahead and feast.
A momentary abatement.
Then we have 12 camping time units with which to use camping skills. So every hero has some camping skill, some camping skills, rather. They cost some amount of time, and they have various effects. So we can relieve stress on our people. We can gain buffs that will last until the end of the mission or until our next camp phase, like this. I would say that our first priority here is making sure we don't get ambushed during the night. That is a thing that can happen, and it is a total bummer. So let's apply a Hound's Watch. We also have this Sanctuary ability that will prevent nighttime ambush, but this doesn't do anything else, because none of us have mortality debuffs. This has the effect of making us less likely to be surprised and more likely to surprise enemies during the next day. It's very... Getting ambushed during the night can be very, very bad. I like to guard against it whenever possible. So the next thing we should try to do is see if we can bring up Dismas's health. Or sorry, you're not Dismas. Bring up Cavalier's health. And also we should try to bring down everybody's stress a little bit. So we can throw out some gallows humor. Most people find a little bit of dark comedy to be refreshing, lower stress. But there's a chance that somebody will not be amused. Let's give it a go here. Okay, he didn't like that joke too much. But on the whole, that was pretty strong. So do we have some bandages available? We do. We have 1 wound care. Help Dismas out a little bit.
Can be healed, but never hidden.
Please don't put ashes in your wounds. That's not real medicine. Now we can give somebody a stress buff. We only have 2 points of time left. So we can have this guy drop his own stress by hanging out with his dog. Dogs are good stress relievers. We could give somebody a buff that lowers the stress they take for the next 4 battles. Or we could have Siochis lower somebody else's stress. I think we're just gonna do this. True story. Alright. So, generally speaking, camping is going to be a good chance to replenish your resources.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
And it takes you back to full light, so now we have 100 light plus 7 torches to explore the rest of this dungeon with. I think this should be more than sufficient. Sorry, 100 light plus 8 torches. You know what, let's go ahead and swap this dude in front. He can't use his normal pistol shot from the front, so there's a trade-off to be made here. It is often the case that the thing in front of the enemy party is not the most dangerous target. But I have a good feeling that next battle will want him to be in front. So let's keep the torchlight high. I'm hoping to get some scouting done here. Okay. Surprise, also a benefit of high light levels. And like I said last time, I think these bone arbalists are fairly dangerous. Let's try to take these guys down.
Another one falls.
Alright, with any luck, our Vestal will be able to finish this guy off. Alright, that's a pretty good first round. So, the fewer times you get attacked during a combat, the less that can go wrong, right? It should be fairly intuitive. So really, my combat strategy is focused on just not allowing the enemy to do things whenever possible. Ah, man. Yeah, having this guy in front actually is a total bummer.
Devastating
Ooh,
blow.
nice. Alright. We could have stalled a little bit there.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
We could have taken a moment while we only had one enemy left alive to just cycle turns, allow the Houndmasters to do Lick Wounds, which will heal themselves, allow the Vestal to cast Divine Grace on our Highwaymen, and probably that would have been the right thing to do. Let's have a look inside the sarcophagus. I didn't do it because I'm thinking this is a low-risk dungeon. Probably we don't need to take... we don't need to do things like that. Probably we'll be fine. But really, we should take every little bit of advantage the game affords us.
Bent on preventing passage.
What do we have here? Nothing. We have nothing here. Okay. So as you can see, sometimes the benefit of scouting is more than a single hallway. So we know there's a trap one way, a curio the other. Curios are usually good, but now that we know the trap is there, we're likely to be able to disarm it, and that will allow us to relieve a little bit of stress. I say let's go this way now. Let's see exactly what this curio is. So hunger events will occur randomly. Also, people will just gain stress randomly. You like books, right? Hey, a map. Well, that's awfully useful. Okay. Oh, I'm not even... What am I doing? I'm trying to click the next room, but we were not through this hallway yet. Hard-skinned. He read a book that made him tougher. You know? It's not completely unheard of. Alright, so we know that the rest of the path is pretty much just loot. So actually, after we fight this battle... I'm going to extinguish our torch. We know that there are no more enemies ahead, so we may as well get the plus loot modifier from having no torchlight, since we know that there won't be any negative effects to it. You know what? I'm going to keep Cavalier up front. I think I probably should have been doing this the whole time. So we're not going to use point blank shot. Let's just do Wicked Slice.
Another abomination.
There's an important lesson here. I had our Highwayman in the second slot just because it is often the case that a Highwayman wants to be in the second slot. He can't use a lot of his gun skills from the front. You know, it's usually correct to have your Highwayman not be in front. But because of the unique needs of this party in this situation, it probably would have been better to have him in the front the entire time. So, let's see if we can get a critical heal here. No such luck. So it's important to actually evaluate what the best thing is in each situation, and not to rely on sort of conventional wisdom to solve your problems for you, because it means you miss things.
Brought low and driven into the mud.
Okay. Do I want to step over here and fight these guys? Yeah, I think so. We'll extinguish the torch in a moment. I'm intentionally getting into an extra fight here, because I want more loot. We'll get loot from the fight, and we'll get loot from the box over there, hopefully. Come on, yes. Alright, good stuff. This is a good first round. Wow, they really don't like him. So since we know that we're not going to be fighting anymore after this, we don't need to worry about our health too much. Oof, that's a lot of stress. Okay, that should relieve some of it. A little bit.
Masterfully executed.
Ooh. She crit both the attack portion and the heal portion. That's a good amount of stress relief.
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall. Finding the stuff is only the first test.
Okay, here we go.
It must be carried home.
So I forgot to use our dog treats. We never had a combat that was difficult enough really to warrant it. But the dog treats are not particularly valuable. We can afford to go ahead and dump some of those. We're going to have to back up to get out of this hallway. Backing up is a little bit stressful. People don't like that, the backtracking. But now, we can walk around with plus loot and not have to worry about any of the negative effects of being... Oh no! So the creeping cough is minus 20% damage. That is a rough one. We will definitely get that treated.
A momentary abatement.
So yeah, we don't have to worry about any of the negative effects. So thank you, Scouting, for allowing us to get some free loot. This is the first time that we've had to worry about our inventory. We don't actually need a torch. But
Waiting to be spent.
sometimes there's a small amount of money available from those. And Cavalier can't help but commune with his religious idol here. He has gained plus 20% damage until camp. Well, that's pretty cool, I guess. It's not super relevant here. Oh, we're not done yet. Not when there's still a box or a bag or something. And we actually did end up going through all of our food there. Well, alright, not spectacular, but on the whole, a pretty good haul.
The shifted corridors and sloped walls of our ancestry are beginning to feel familiar.
We got a lot of heirlooms, that's important. Heirlooms are way more important than gold at the beginning of the game. We have a lot of buildings that need upgrading. So he's now obsessed with sainthood. That's a little strange. This guy cannot meditate. That should not be a big deal, I think. And you have a bonus scouting chance in the cove, but you lose damage on your melee skills. Honestly, a torn rotator on a Vestal is not a big deal. The Vestal only has one melee skill, and it's not really that useful because...
Though long years
Ooh.
may seek to separate
Hey, free
them,
stuff.
action and consequence will invariably have their dreadful reunion.
So, clouds of mosquitoes and other less identifiable pests continue to descend upon the hamlet with maddening persistence. Illness and irritation abound. A new courtyard quest is available. Ooh. Okay. This is what we're going to be checking out next time. But for now, let's try to take care of our poor heroes. So there's finally a spot available to pray. We upgraded the transept a little bit, but I think it's probably worth upgrading it again. Well, hold on. Actually, we gotta prioritize the stagecoach for now. So we can upgrade the number of heroes available or the size of our roster, but not both. I'm gonna go for hero availability because, like I said, I'd like to get to the point where we can be a little more choosy about who we take on. For now, we're just gonna hire everybody.
Tortured and reclusive, this man is more dangerous than he seems.
So the new guy we picked up here is an abomination. He's God-fearing, will only pray for stress relief, his extra scouting chance in the Warrens, and he's a little bit different. So he has the ability to transform into basically a horrible monster. He has 3 attacks that he can use in his human form, and 3 attacks that he can use in his monster form. And honestly, I think the Abomination is maybe the best class, if not the best, certainly among the best. So I'm pretty happy to see this dude. I'm not so happy to see a whole lot of people who really only want to fight in close range. But, you know, we take the lumps we're given here. So let's deal with people's stress. We did a pretty good job of managing stress during that dungeon, and I don't think that Dudley or Cavalier need stress relief, or honestly, these two either. We can probably just keep everybody running. Reynold definitely needs to get to praying, and we may as well reduce the treatment cost before we pay it.
Claiming communion with the divine. Madness.
Alright, who else really could use some help? You know what? Sea Urchins, let's have him... Is there one that is particularly effective for him? No, he just can't meditate. Alright. And honestly, I don't think we need to restore... What are you actually at, stress-wise? You're just about 40... Yeah, it would be a little risky to take them with us into town. Or into a dungeon, but... hold on. You know, there's gold on the line here. It's important that we save up money, because we are going to need it. And in fact, we can talk about that now. The guild and the blacksmith have opened. So...
Make no mistake. We will face ever greater threats. Our soldiers must be ready.
Here in the guild, we can unlock the abilities that start locked for our heroes, and more importantly, we can learn to upgrade our skills to be more effective. This and the blacksmith are going to consume quite a lot of gold.
The bellows blast once again. The forge stands ready to make weapons of war.
So this allows us to upgrade our armor and weapons, which will increase our base damage level and our health and dodge on our characters. These are tremendously important. The difference between a guy with good weapons and a guy with bad weapons is huge. So it's really, really important that we save up gold for these two things, which means that we want to be as gold efficient as possible in missions, which means being as stress efficient as possible. The more stress we take on, the less money we have to play with, because we have to spend money de-stressing our heroes. So there are a lot of meta management things that go into the decisions we make in the dungeons. It's a lot more than just bring everybody home alive. So let's think on that for a while. Until tomorrow, when we return and we head into the courtyard. And we'll see you then.